Good evening. I hope you had enjoyed the dinner among friends. Now I'm Professor Felicitation from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, NUS, a member of the local organizing committee, and also the MC for this evening's event. Now we are gathered here to pay tribute to Professor Venky, an extraordinary person. As you will see later, the testimonies from his friends and colleagues. And we have prepared a video on the facilitation from his former colleagues in the University of Maryland and also from students whom he has supervised in NUS. Now, for those of you who are a generation or two younger than him, you may not have known him very well. So we have also prepared a PowerPoint to indicate the key milestones of his achievements in his career. And after that, we'll have invitations from amongst us from the floor to speak about Venky, right? All kind words about him. Okay, so I'll now show the PowerPoint on the key achievements in his career. Okay, you see that he was born in 1949. Right. His BS honors was from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. In 1971, he got his MS from the Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur. And as you know, IIT is one of the top universities during his generation, right? So among the best would get into the IITs. In 1977, he did his PhD from the City University of New York and Bell Laboratories. So he has been a physicist and a manager for 17 years with Bell Labs and Bell Corp. Right, that's in the US. In the last 17 years, he has been with the Center for Superconductivity Research at University of Maryland, College Park. He founded the Service Center at Rutgers University, where he was a professor for about 5 years. And since 2008, has been directing the NanoCore Research Center at NUS. He pioneered the pulse laser deposition process, right, in the presentations in this past 2 days. You hear a lot of all the oxides are being prepared by PLDs. He is an ISI highly cited physicist, more than 20,000 citations and ranked 66 in the world, has over 450 papers and 27 patents in the areas of oxides, involving superconductors, magnetic and optical materials. And here, I've just listed some of his awards and honors. George E. Page Prize, 2012, Belco Award of Excellence, Fellow of APS, Honorary Professor Tsinghua University, Beijing. Mentored 31 undergraduate students, 34 graduate students, 22 postdocs, and research associates. So in 1989, he founded Neosera, a company specializing in pulse laser and electron deposition equipment, and also commercialized a HDS grid-based magnetic microscope MAGMA for semiconductor failure analysis, used by virtually all leading semiconductor manufacturing companies today. He has helped many of his students and postdocs in starting companies, and 8 of them have started small companies or are holding executive positions in entrepreneurial ventures. He has raised venture capital money over several rounds and has been on the advisory board of the New Market Venture Fund for UMD Entertainment Center the UMD incubator and has been involved in promoting entrepreneurship among young researchers. So you can see is a list of achievements, not only in the academic field, in research, but also in the entrepreneurial field. So now I'd like to play the video, and later on I'll call upon Barry to give the first, to say a few words about him.
Hi, Venky. This is Steve Onlaga from the University of Maryland Physics Department, and your old colleague from the 1990s mostly. And anyway, I enjoyed all of our collaborative work that we did together, and all the joint students and postdocs that we worked with and produced. So anyway, I want to wish you a happy birthday, 65th birthday, and also continued success in research. And hopefully we'll get together and be collaborators again at some point in the future. So. Happy birthday and have a good celebration.
Hi, Venky. Chris over here and I want to wish you a very happy 65th birthday. And, well, we're going to say a few more words about you. But first, for those that are gathered, we should say who we are. And I'm Rick Green, University of Maryland, former director of the Center of Superconductivity Research.
And I'm Chris Lobb. I've taken over as director for Rick, and it's now the Center for Nanophysics and Advanced Materials.
Okay, so I'll start out and Chris will say something. Probably many of the people there don't know what the connection is between you and us, way over here in the University of Maryland. But the Center for Superconductivity Research started around 1990. I was brought here from IBM to be the director of this center. And you, Venky, were one of our very first hires, after Chris, of course. We first got Chris. You came highly recommended by a number of people whose names I will not mention, from AT&T, Bell Labs. Now, I came from IBM, and we normally did not even talk to people from Bell Labs, nor would we consider hiring them. But your letters of recommendation said that you were an excellent tennis player. So, I would also like to play tennis, and I knew I would need somebody to play against. So I said, well, we at least should interview this guy. Okay? And so you came here, you were interviewed, and just a charming person, and a good scientist beside. However, I later found out, and that of course is why we hired you. However, I later found out that you actually weren't such a great tennis player, but that didn't matter. So anyway, Venky, you came and you really made a fantastic contribution to our center. You were the liveliest guy around here. You had beaming with ideas, and we all really had a wonderful time during your time here, and it was one of the greatest times of my life having you around here. So I personally want to wish you another happy 61st birthday.
65th.
65th? Oh my God, 65th. Okay, well, what the heck. You look like you're 40, so it's
I said everything Rick said. He probably got confused because I just said my 61st birthday.
That's right.
He hired all these guys who were younger than him, and now we're catching up. I don't quite understand how that works. But I would like to say that I came here, as Rick said, I was the second person there, and it was a little lonely and a little bit scary when it was just the two of us. But I knew that everything was going to be okay when we were able to recruit you. And I also have to say that the work that I was able to do with you and the science that we're able to share were among the high points of my life. And I'm very grateful. And you know, frankly, I wish you never left, because it was really great when you were here.
Yeah, I should really second what Chris just said, because some of my most highly cited papers have been co-authored with you, Venky. And so this was fantastic. And you also really helped us recruit a couple of other very outstanding people, in particular Ramesh, who came here and has also unfortunately left. But the whole atmosphere during that time when you were here was just wonderful. So anyway, there's lots of other stories that we can tell about you, but I'm not sure that we should do this under this particular venue. So that's all I want to say.
I wish you happy birthday again, and best of luck.
Okay, take care, Venky.
Bye-bye.
It's a great honor to talk about Professor Venky. And more than that, it gives me a lot of happiness and a sense of accomplishment to be able to talk about him. I have known Venky since the beginning of 2008, and the world has known him since before I was born. He's one of the most highly cited authors. He's a very successful entrepreneur, and that's a very rare breed to come by. I was very fortunate to be the first student of Venky when he came down to Singapore to start this research institute, which is now known as NanoCore. And when I look back, those were the most rewarding years of my life. I just cannot put into words how much I've actually learned from him. And I can say that physics was only a very small part of it. I remember those long meetings we used to have, either planning for experiments or discussing data or even writing papers. And sometimes these meetings would go on till early morning, and we used to order pizza and have a picnic. Of course, a picnic for geeks. And then once I was traveling to this APS March meeting in Portland along with Venky, and every now and then these people would come up and talk to him, and when I would get introduced to them, more often than not, they would be either PhD students or postdocs who had worked under Venky at some point of time. And I had this overwhelming feeling that Venky is actually an institute. Now, if I want to put it more in a more cool way, I would say that he's a brotherhood. And and I was so fortunate to be part of this brotherhood. Today I'm working as a process engineer at Applied Materials, and even now, when I have even the slightest doubt, I would just pick up my phone and be like, hey Venky, let's meet up for lunch. And every time I do that, I come back a little bit wiser person. I want to congratulate Venky for this felicitation that is being given to him. There definitely is no more deserving person than him. And I really want to thank him for everything that he has given to us, to this community, and to the world. Thank you, Venky. Thank you very much.
Hi, Venky. I'm so happy to know that the Oxide Electronics Conference is felicitating you on your 65th birthday. Actually, I know that your birthday is actually on 19th July because my wife shares the birthday on the same day. And we're very happy to know that the great astrophysicist from India, Jen Darlik, also has this birthday on 19th July. Happy birthday to you, first of all. When somebody said his 65th birthday, I said, is there something wrong? Is it 56th or 65th? Because you always look almost 10-15 years younger than your age. And actually, in terms of enthusiasm, enthusiasm, activity, energy, and everything. It is in fact 20 years here at the Raw Place. And because I have always experienced that we all feel younger by 10 years in your presence, your cheerful nature, excitements about science, talking about various things which concern other people's lives, your sensitivity to their plights, your extremely helpful nature, everything sort of gives all of us very much into the operation where Venky is involved. We have all been benefited by you in various ways. In fact, I have personally been a great friend of yours in the sense that we share many things together, and you have been a great help to me in my extremely difficult times. I have no words to explain how sentimental I am about it, and I have seen you helping all your students, not only in academics aspects and new ideas and experimental things and this, that, and the other, but all things related to upliftment of their careers, their life. Even in different cases, you explain to them how communication is important, the verbal communication, the written communication. You even ask them to go to roster in different universities where sort of they teach how to improve these things. You bring in a tremendous value to everybody who is associated with you, and you enrich their lives. So we are all very grateful to you, and it is an honor and privilege to be a friend of yours, trying to share several things, several interesting moments, and the group meetings, the branch meetings in Maryland for many years, and so on and so forth. I think the warmth of relationship and personal friendship that you offer is unparalleled, and I'm sure it will continue for ages actually. In a way, I think it is very, very important to mention to several other people that the student community has always benefited by your advice, especially in relation to how to shape their career. And in some cases, you have helped them launch their careers in the form of companies, entrepreneurship, and so on. But for others, you have launched them in an interesting way in academic careers. We are always so happy to be associated with you, proud to be associated with you. And I'm sure, in years to come, you'll do absolutely a great job. Continue to help others and continue to enrich their lives. For me, personally, I am here in National Chemical Laboratory working on solar energy, variety of things, and although I don't do much of oxide electronics, and that's why I'm not able to be present in this particular workshop, I'm so happy that there will be a brief film that you could show where my sentiments are sort of indicated. I'm sure with the support of Lakshmi and your wonderful daughter Tara, your life will continue to be enriched in the near future. I wish you a very happy, healthy, and prosperous life, and Venky will continue his progress in science unabated, for many years to come. So my best wishes to you for a wonderful life ahead of you, and we hope that our great association continues. Thank you, and wish you great time ahead.
I now call on Professor Barry to say a few words about Venky. Now, Professor Barry officiated the opening of the WOE conference on Monday, and is a Deputy President for Research in NUS. So Barry.
Hi, good evening everybody. It's good to see you all again. I have one thing in common with Professor Venky. I was also born in 1949. And I think he's in better shape than I am. So, the National University of Singapore in the past 15 years...
Barry, I'll swap your citation index for mine for everything else.
Yeah, but I'm going to die soon, you'll keep going. The National University of Singapore in the past 15 years was transformed from being a solid teaching university to a place that's really doing outstanding research in many areas. We have a load of delegations from all over the world coming to study us as to how we've got so much better in such a short time. They say, well, how do you do that? So it's actually very simple. You recruit the right people. What makes a great university is its academics. The administration can help, or it can screw up. So I hope I've helped more than screw people up. But without the really great, bright academics, a university doesn't become distinguished. And one of our leading recruits was Venky, who joined us. He applied for an administrative job. Luckily, he didn't get it. But we recruited him anyway to set up a facility called NanoCore. And what he's done is not only do that, but he's also helped engender a great spirit of intellectual vibrancy in the university. The interaction between him, his students, young faculty members in science, engineering, biology. It's been a huge transformation. So on behalf of the university, I'd like to pay tribute to him and thank him for everything that he's done. And I know in many ways he has to face the bureaucracy of the university, and I hope I've helped him sometimes to deal with it, and sometimes I probably failed to help him deal with it. But despite all that, he's achieved an enormous amount. So please join me in congratulating him for his achievement.
Allow me to say a few words about Venky. I come to know him when he joined the university, and that was in 2008. I was then a professor in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, and I know that he was brought in to spearhead research in materials, and particularly in the oxide area. My field is in compound semiconductors, 3-5s and the others, and the only commonality is actually in zinc oxide, where I was looking for applying the materials for optoelectronic applications. So we work very well. Now on Monday, Professor Ramesh mentioned about Venky, and he said that he has the curiosity of a child. And that really is true, because in my interaction with him, I always feel that he has a lot of curiosity. Now the other thing that I have a good impression is that every time I have a research discussion with him, I'm always enthused, because every other sentence that he mentioned is always laced with superlatives. Most wonderful, great, fantastic. You know, that actually encourages you to think on the ideas even deeper. Okay, these are the few words that I have, and I've only known him for the past 5 years, but these are very good impressions. And the other important thing is that, as you see, he has achieved very much. But he's very modest, he's very unpretentious, and it's a joy actually working with him. Thanks, Venky. The floor is open to anyone who would like to say kind words about Venky. Please, come.
Hello, my name is Hans Hiltkamp. I'm from the University of Twente. And I know Venky since the early 90s, I guess, when I was a PhD student. So he was one of the big names in our field. We were doing PLD on the superconducting devices, and this was like the god on the other side of the ocean who invented this this technique, and we did a lot of research on that with somehow in a competition, but also feeling like you're all developing this field on oxides. And there are many guys here from Twente. I think I can also speak on their behalf partly. Some of them may say something themselves, but for us, Venky was a big name. And we also a lot of us went to these very early workshops on oxide electronics, and for me the first workshop on oxide electronics was the one in Maryland. I think it was the 4th workshop, and for me it was a fantastic experience. It was a beautiful meeting. We had very nice evening sessions which were called rump sessions, but it turned out later on they were called rum sessions. I think the spirit was exceptionally good in these meetings, and yeah, certainly this was also to the credit of Venky. But our personal contact intensified a lot in 2007. So I was at the APS March meeting in Denver, just sitting in a room, and then Venky came up to me and he said, Hans, can I speak to you for a minute? So we went out, and he said, we're starting this new initiative in Singapore, and it's going to be really great and fantastic, and why don't you come over and see, maybe we can do something together, and that could be of interest for you. So I thought, wow, this is pretty far out and far away also. And but I went over, and I was really impressed. That the university, I met with Barry and with a lot of other people. Feng Shi was the president of the university. He was also a very impressive guy. I had a tour around the university, and it looked very good to me. But for me, the move, let's say, from Twente to Singapore would have been a too big step. So we arranged a visiting professorship interaction, which started then in 2007 and still lasts today. So every now and then I go over here to Singapore, and it's an incredibly inspiring thing for me. I've seen the group here in Singapore grow. They're fantastic students. I'm very happy personally also that Ariando, who was a PhD student in our group in Twente, is now doing so well here as an assistant professor here in Singapore, and organized so nicely this conference. It makes me very proud to see how you're doing here under the leadership of Venky. I think it's a beautiful example of the things that were said before, also from Maryland, how he mentors the young people. We now have Renshaw in Twente, who did his PhD here in Singapore, one of the other bright students, and there are many more of these students here that I got to know personally. I think these are really nice people doing very hard work, doing good work with a lot of enthusiasm in a group that is very vibrant and has good spirit. So every time I come here, I'm just getting pumped up. I feel the excitement and the energy and all the great ideas that come like a waterfall. In the afternoon we saw this waterfall. Talking with Venky, it also feels like this waterfall of enthusiasm and great ideas are coming towards you, and they're really. A lot of them are really, all of them are great ideas, so that you just feel like, wow, it's a turbulence of interest. So I've seen this group grown over the years, and they do great work, and to see that Venky has a great impact in the group and in the university, but actually also, he has a great impact on Singapore. So when Venky came here, he immediately got in contact with very important people in Singapore, and you start to see now the effects of this. So when Venky came here, he said, we have to do research, we have to move fast.